Now to a follow-up on an investigation we first brought you back in February. Narcan in schools.
The drug that reverses opioid overdoses was not stocked in New York City public schools, despite teen overdoses on the rise. But that has now changed. CBS 2's Jennifer Bisram has been following this story.
In our investigation earlier this year, we found school districts across our area, including on Long Island, had Narcan in its schools and nurses trained to use it. But New York City Public Schools, the largest school district in the country, was not prepared with it. We were told in case of a suspected overdose, 911 would be called. After months of reaching out to the Department of Education, we learned Narcan training began this month for school nurses.
As the school nurses, school staff, we are the parents' eyes and ears for the kids. You know, they're the most vulnerable of our population.
Lynette Daniel has been a registered nurse for 18 years. She now works with New York City Public School students.
Narcan is very important because if there is an opioid overdose, then anyone can administer it.
She tells CBS 2 News she took a mandatory Narcan training class earlier this month.
It's important to have it in the schools just in case.
A spokesperson for New York City Public Schools telling us we are working closely with the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene to ensure that every high school has Narcan stocked in the building and a staff member trained on administering the drug by fall 2023.
We had really no other choice but decide to give them the Narcan.
Narcan in schools is something the United Federation of Teachers, which also represents school nurses, has been pushing for. It's also an issue CBS 2 shed a light on in February after Narcan was used to save a student's life at New Rochelle High School after a suspected fentanyl overdose.
Push with your thumb and it releases the medication.
Trained nurses even showed us how to use the life-saving tool. Joe Venturelli also trains and educates New Yorkers on opioid overdose and the importance of Narcan, in addition to running the Seafield Center on Long Island, a center that helps families recover from addiction.
We're seeing that most overdoses now contain fentanyl in them.
The fentanyl fight in New York continues to be priority for law enforcement as drug overdose continues to rise, especially among some of the city's youngest. Data obtained by CBS 2 shows fentanyl was involved in the majority of overdose deaths in New York City in 2021. 72 people ages 15 to 24 died from opioids. The data from 2022 and 2023 hasn't been released yet. That's why the teachers union says all staff in schools should be trained on how to use Narcan.
You can't just say the school nurse is responsible, because if there is a crisis, you have to have multiple people, because you can't wait to find the school nurse.
And we learned New York City public school nurses started to receive Narcan training June 14th. DOE says all high schools will have it by fall. It's still unclear if that will happen. We will check in again in September. Jennifer Bisram, CBS 2 News.